Hi everyone, my name is David, and today I'm going to do a JavaScript project that is based on testing my knowledge related to objects. Okay. The project name is Mysterious Organism, and the project goal is to be part of a research team and that found a mysterious organism at the bottom of the ocean. However, the small DNA samples and frequency at which it mutates due to the hydrothermal vents makes this organism an interesting specimen to study. However, this organism can't survive above sea level, and locating the organism in the deep sea is difficult. So my job here is to create object that simulates the organism for the research team. Okay. And today I'll do the project on my local develop area, which is VS Code. Okay. So there are already two declared functions, which are returned rand base and mockup trend. Okay. DNA is comprised of 4 bases. When return rand base is called, it will randomly select a base and return the base. Return source. Okay. Mockup trend is used to generate an array containing 15 bases to represent a single DNA strand with 15 bases. You'll use these helper function later to create your objects that represent P acre. Okay. So text 2 also completed. Since you need to create multiple objects, create a factory function, P acre factory, that has 2 parameters. The first parameter is a number. The second parameter is an array of 15 DNA bases. P acre factory function should return an object that contains the properties specimen name and DNA that correspond to the parameters provided. You'll also add more methods to this project in the later steps. Cool. So back to the VS Code. That's quick. No. And array. Return an object that contains the properties. So return contains the properties specimen and DNA. Specimen no. And DNA that correspond to the parameters provided. So DNA AR. Okay. Let's move on to task 4. Your team wants to simulate P acre's high rate of mutation. To simulate a mutation in P acre factory's function, return object Add the method .mutate. .mutate is responsible for randomly selecting a base in the object's DNA property and changing the current base to different base. Then .mutate will return the object's data. For example, if the randomly selected base is the first base and is A, the base cannot be A again. Okay. To simulate a mutation, add a method .mutate. So add mutate here. Const. Mutate. Get a hint. Contains a method for selected a random element in the array. You can also use to generate a random base, but make sure that the current base and the generated base are not the same. You can test this method by creating an instance of p equal and checking that its DNA changes after calling mutate on itself. So add the method mutate. Mutate is responsible for random selecting a base in the object's DNA. Mutate. Mutate is responsible for randomly selecting a base in the object's DNA property. So DNA. Property and changing the current changing the current base to a different base. Then mutate will return the object's DNA. So for randomly selecting a base in the our DNA are composed with 15 bases, and so we can use past DNA. Math.floor. And since we have 15 items in the past DNA array, so we will multiply by 15. So yeah, 15. And so here is add a command, pick random base from the 15 items in the array. That selected base equals to past DNA. And while that the mutated base equals to return random base. If statements. If the mutated base do not equal to the selected base, add the camel case here. If the mutated base doesn't equal to the selected base, we'll assign the mutated base to the selected base by writing this mutated base. Else maybe we should while mutated base equals to selected base, then we should keep running this one. Mutated base equals to return random base. How to pop to delete specific elements in array JavaScript. Can use filter. Const database. Let new base equals to DNA basis dot filter, and the callback function is item. Item, which is not equal to which is not equal to the selected base. New base. And we'll choose from the three. That mutated base equals to the new base, and this one. And we pick from 3 elements, and we assign the selected base change into mutated base. Okay. And after doing the changes, we should return we should return the object's DNA. So doing so will prevent that we can find the index which selected bases are at. So we fixed the random num to this one. It's okay. Selected base equals to mutated base. Yeah, and we should return the past DNA. Okay. Your research team wants to be able to compare the DNA sequences of different P acre. You'll have to add a new method to the return object of the factory function. Compare DNA. Compare DNA has one parameter. Another P acre object. Okay. The behavior of compare DNA is to compare the current DNA with the pass-in DNA and compute how many bases are identical in the same locations. And compute how many bases are identical in the same locations. Does not return anything, but prints a message that states a message that states the percentage of DNA the two objects have in common. For example, x1 and x2 only have third element in common, T, and therefore have 25% of their DNA in common. The resulting message will read something along lines of and compute how many bases for let I DNA Oh, we use this, right? If this DNAs oh, shouldn't write like this. Let I equals to 0 and I smaller than 15, I plus plus. If this dot DNA I equals to object dot object dot DNA. Then count console.log. Use the specimen node to identify which p-equal objects are being compared. That states the percentage. Okay, so change this to specimen node. Use to identify which 15 and multiply by 100. Okay. Have a likelier chance of survival if their DNA is made up at least 60% of C or G bases. If the return object of P in the return add another method will likely survive. Will likely survive. Past DNA. For of past DNA if item equals to C or item equals to G. Count and if that percentage equals to count divided by 15 and multiply by 100, and if percentage is higher or equal to 60, return true, else return false. Nice. With the factory function set up, your team requests that you create 30 instances that you can survive in there. So I think I finished this project. Yeah. Nice.